Hello, thanks for joining us on the news. I'm Ruth Aguele. My sign language interpreter is Hannah Olainka. You can watch this news live on our social media handles displayed on the screen, and we're streaming live on Vision 247. Let's bring you the headlines. Federal government charges members of National Council on Privatization to come up with economic policies that will better the lots of Nigerians. United Nations raises appeals fund for 2024 to address needs of millions affected by humanitarian crisis. And negotiators President Bola Tinubu has paid an official visit to Borno State. During the state visit, President Tinubu inaugurated 107 electric and gas-powered vehicles procured by the Borno State government and paid courtesy visit on the Shehu of Borno. The President, as the Commander-in-Chief, attended the 2023 Chief of Army Staff Annual Conference in Maiduguri. President Tinubu is visiting the northeastern part of the country for the first time since assumption of office. President Tinubu is back in Abuja. Members of the National Council on Privatization have been charged to ensure their economic decisions and reforms are reflected in the lives of Nigerians. Vice President Kashim Shettima, while declaring open induction program for the new council, urged them to be proactive in paving way for economic growth that is in harmony with the aspirations of the citizens. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Assembled here are members and other critical stakeholders of the newly inaugurated National Council on Privatization at the Conference Center of the National Intelligence Agency. And the reminder is for them to station themselves on the front line of actualizing the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu administration.
The National Council on Privatization, along with the Bureau of Public Enterprises, bear the critical responsibility of driving commercial interventions that align seamlessly with these priority areas. However, it is essential for each of us to pledge to create a future where every citizen thrives. Our aim is to transform economic prosperity from a distant dream into a tangible reality.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, who is also the chairman of the council, reminded members of the council that the task before them demands going to every horizon of the hotbed of opportunities to initiate transformative reforms and to collaborate, even as he implored them to embed the reforms they were set to make in President Tinubu's 8-point renewed hope agenda.
By the end of this retreat, my hope is that we will become more resolute about the necessity of letting our discussions resound with echoes of innovative strategies, collaborative initiatives, and uncompromising commitments to the principles enshrined in Mr. President's visionary agenda.
It was a package. It wasn't something that you could...
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, underscored the significance of the federal government's privatization program and highlighted its impact on the management of enterprises owned by the government since the inception of the program.
I hope we have a very fruitful induction session.
Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hassan Hadija, urged them to give in their best in the new task, noting that the success of the council will largely be dependent on synergy among stakeholders, both in private and public sectors. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Negotiators have been given the next 24 hours to wrap up negotiations and deliver deals that will birth a new chapter for people and planet, with areas where options need to be negotiated narrowed significantly. Charles Alpha reports that the Executive Secretary of the UN Climate Change, Simon Steele, in his address to over 4,000 journalists covering COP28 in Dubai on Monday, emphasized that the global stocktake needs to help all countries get out of the current climate situation. The reality, he said, is the highest ambition outcomes, and the only way is for all governments to leave Dubai with a win under their belt, with barely hours to the end of the summit.
We are now here to discuss two issues. One, how high is our ambition on mitigation? And two, are we willing to back this transition with the proper means of support to deliver it?
Simon Steele, while urging negotiators to reject incrementalism, wants every unnecessary tactical blockheads out of the way.
Each step back from the highest ambition will cost countless millions of lives. Not in the next political or economic cycle for future leaders to deal with, but right now across every country.
As delegates prepare to close this year's convention, it is all eyes are now on the prize. That means highest ambition outcomes must stay front and center. United Nations on Monday issued an appeal for $46 billion in funding for 2024 to address the needs of millions affected by humanitarian crisis globally, including Afghanistan, Gaza, Sudan, and Ukraine. During an embargoed press conference on Thursday, UNAID Chief Martin Griffiths stated that nearly 300 million people would require humanitarian assistance next year due to conflicts, climate emergencies, and economic factors. The five largest single-country appeals are for Syria, that is $4.4 billion, Ukraine, $3.1 billion, Afghanistan, $3 billion, Ethiopia, $2.9 billion, and Yemen, $2.8 billion. This includes 74.1 million people in East and Southern Africa, a significant number affected by the crisis in Sudan. Griffith explained that other organizations, including the Red Cross and National Red Cross societies, had also made their funding appeals. He described this as the worst funding shortfall in years, quote and unquote, acknowledging the challenge of reducing the appeal for 2024 while ensuring aid agencies remain realistic, focused, and tough-minded in assessing needs. The UN mission in Mali has officially ended a 10-year deployment in the country following a pullout ordered by Mali's military leaders. Francis Udojo reports.
UN spokesman Fatoumata Kaba said the mission, known as MINUSMA, lowered the United Nations flag on its headquarters in the capital, Bamako. The symbolic ceremony marks the official end of the mission, she said, even though some of the elements of it are still there. A liquidation phase is set to take place after January 1, involving activities such as handing over remaining equipment to the authorities. Mali's ruling junta, which seized power in 2020, in June demanded the departure of the mission, deployed since 2013 despite being in the grip of jihadism and ranging crisis. The withdrawal of the UN's stabilization mission has ignited fears that fighting will intensify between troops and armed factions for territorial control. MINUSMA had for the past decade maintained around 15,000 soldiers and police in Mali. About 180 members have been killed in hostile acts. As of Friday, more than 10,500 uniformed and civilian MINUSMA personnel had left Mali out of a total of around 13,800 staff at the start of the withdrawal, the UN mission said. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The United Nations has urged world leaders to revive the spirit that led to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 75 years ago to counter today's widespread oppression and polarization. Francis Udojo again reports that the text adopted after World War II and the Holocaust marked the first time that countries agreed to protect fundamental rights and freedoms on a universal scale for all people.
United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, said his thoughts went to the millions of people suffering unbearably in the occupied Palestinian territory, notably in Gaza and Israel, in Sudan, Ukraine, and so many other places. Talk during the UN Monday's event at Geneva, which began with a minute of silence for victims of rights violations, said the declaration provided a guide to solve the towering challenges faced in the world today. The declaration, he said, resonates with the ancient wisdom that connects all human beings. It drew its inspiration from around the world, he said, including the philosophies of the Enlightenment, Islam's emphasis on human dignity and compassionate sharing, and the demands of the Haitian Revolution for an end to enslavement and racist oppression. Although not legally binding, the declaration stresses the supremacy of individual rights over those of states. The drafters of the Universal Declaration transcended geopolitical clashes and economic differences. The 75th anniversary, he said, should be seen as a call to hope and action. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The presidential election in Egypt has entered its second voting day, with the incumbent president, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, contesting for another term. Let's hear again from Francis Udojo.
The casting of ballots across the Middle East nation commenced on Sunday. The election is also taking place amid a staggering economic crisis in Egypt, a country of 105 million people. El-Sisi faces three other contenders for the presidential seat, including Farid Zahran. El-Sisi came to power in 2014, a year after he, as defense minister, led the military removal of an elected president against his year of rule. More than 67 million people are eligible to vote in this week's election. The vote is set to end on Tuesday, with a runoff schedule for January 8 to 10 if no candidate secures more than 50% of the vote, according to the National Election Authority, a judicial-chaired body that runs the electoral process. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Stakeholders are intensifying efforts towards adopting sustainable strategies to redefine the fight against insecurity in Nigeria. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, at one of such engagements with the Central Council of the Jama'atul Nasir Islam in Mina, Niger State, reaffirmed government's plan to roll out humanitarian responses to cushion the effect of banditry. Salihu Gwanara reports.
Leaders of the famous Islamic organization, Jama'atul Nasir Islam, at a resumed physical meeting after 5 years of break due to what they described as challenges of insecurity. The atmosphere is once again conducive, so they need to dust their files, refresh memories, and share quality ideas while setting an agenda for the current administration.
We cannot develop without peace. And there's no peace and stability anywhere. We found that we are going to be in very deep troubles, economically, socially, and politically.
It is a call for support for religious leaders that can truly guide our nation towards a path of shared value and mutual respect.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, on behalf of President Bola Tinubu, appealed to religious leaders to preach peace in the aftermath of the drone misfire at Tudumbiri in Kaduna State.
President Bola Tinubu has honestly expressed how the bombing mishap was worrying and very painful to him personally. Indeed, the President has directed a thorough and full-fledged investigation. Your Excellency, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Eminence, distinguished guests, your collective efforts are highly appreciated in helping to calm frayed nerves, especially after the incidents in Tudumbili.
He also shared the vision of the 2024 budget of renewed hope towards promoting socio-economic prosperity.
It is therefore important for our various communities to be fully abreast of the 75 billion naira presidential conditional grant scheme and palliative programs which targets 1 million nano businesses across Nigeria.
Message of tolerance from government image maker at a forum like this, many believe is a right step in view of government's planned policy of Nigeria's values charter that plans to create a unifying value system among the citizens. Outcome of this engagement will have a great deal in peace building. From Mina, the Niger state capital, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
All right, let's go on a break. We're back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. The Central Bank of Nigeria says Nigerian banking industry remains resilient as key financial soundness indicators within the regulatory thresholds. A statement by Acting Director, Corporate Communications Department of the Apex Bank, CD Ali Hakama, indicates that this is contrary to the reports in some media outlets suggesting that some licensed commercial banks in the country had failed the CBN's capital adequacy ratio for international authorization. To this end, the CBN is appealing to Nigerians to disregard the media reports listing banks as failing the capital adequacy ratio stress test for international authorization, as the report did not emanate from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Heads of agencies in the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment have been directed to align their mandates with the 8-point agenda of the federal government across economic growth, food security, access to capital, poverty alleviation, as well as inclusivity and job creation. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Doris Uzoka Anite gave the directive while inaugurating newly appointed chief executive officers in the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment in Abuja. While reiterating government's stance on corruption, the minister directed the CEOs to align their strategies with that of the ministry, with the commitment to monitor and assess the activities to ensure optimal performance across the agencies, as their appointment is critical to the renewed hope agenda.
To discharge your responsibilities in accordance with the rules and regulations of the public service rules, financial regulations, and other extant regulations governing the public service. This administration has zero tolerance for any form of corruption. Government will frown at and punish corrupt practices perpetrated by any management team or any of your staff, including yourself.
The Executive Director, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Nonye Ayeni, on behalf of all the heads of agencies, affirmed their resolve to deliver on their mandate in line with government's stance on economic growth and recovery.
We believe that strategic engagement will help in promoting the ease of doing business and further complement the effort of the ministry and other relevant stakeholders in providing seamless trade facilitation for the exporting community that are pro-growth and that will align with the objectives of the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency, Mr. President.
Comfort Amadu reports that President Bola Tinubu in October 2023 approved the appointment of the chief executive officers of agencies and parastatals in the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to champion his resolve to center Nigeria's economic revival on the foundation of trade expansion through small, medium and large-scale industry facilitation in the country. The Independent Election Observer Mission in the November 11 Kogi State governorship election has scored the Independent National Electoral Commission high over the conduct of the exercise. In its report made public in Abuja, the leader of the group, Princess Ajibola, described the election that produced Usman Ododo of the All Progressives Congress as transparent, free and fair. The report noted that the election was a far improvement upon previous polls, with results from the state's 21 local government areas revealing a complex interplay of political dynamics and voter preferences. The 20-page document also revealed that the exercise was generally peaceful, with high security presence and voter turnout across the state. Members of the House of Representatives have pledged to implement policy projects worth 400 million naira in Tudum Bri village to rehabilitate the community. Chairman of the Northern Caucus Forum of the Federal House of Representatives, Al-Hassan Ado Dogua, disclosed this development when he led the lawmakers to sympathize with the Kaduna State government over the incident. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports.
The people of Tudumbiri community have continued receiving support to at least put a smile on their faces and give them hope again after the tragic incident. The latest is by these members of the Federal House of Representatives who promised to implement projects ranging from hospital, access road, schools, and a police outpost in the community worth 400 million naira.
We have also considered and agreed through the leadership of the House of Representatives, obviously through the Speaker, to also bring on ground some developmental projects. There are access roads that will be provided, and all this is put to the tune of 400 million naira from the Federal House of Representatives. And we are therefore bound to commend the federal government for that outright initiative and commend them for the commitment they have given to Kaduna State government and to the people of the state in responding to this very, very sad development.
I'm really happy because we have a president who have been in the forefront of trying to address this problem in calling for investigation. That is the reason why I'm calling on National Assembly members to join the people of Kaduna State and Kaduna State government in particular in insisting that this investigation should be done within a time frame.
From the Government House, Kaduna, the lawmakers proceed to Barrow Dukko Teaching Hospital, where some of the victims who sustained injuries are receiving treatment. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umarajingi, NTA News.
The Federal Road Safety Corps is pursuing jail term for motorists, especially truck drivers that engage in overloading, as well as imposition of payment of compensation to victims of road traffic crashes by motorists. Corps Marshal FRSC Dauda Ali Biu hinted this in an exclusive interview with our correspondent Oyeyemi Ajayi.
For some time, the reports about road traffic crashes involving overloaded trucks could be said to be quite minimal. And that explains the concern over the recent accidents at Kaduna and Niger states, which claimed 16 and 19 lives respectively. In tackling this headlong, the Corps is setting up an interagency task force that includes the FRSC, the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, the Nigerian Police, and state road management agencies to begin full impounding of overloaded vehicles, especially trucks, nationwide.
We pursue jail term for those offenses because if you are asked to just pay a little amount and go, the tendency is you are going to repeat that act. So we want to pursue that so that those offenses, they should attract jail terms and there should be compensation for the victims.
As Christmas is barely some days from now, the Corps Marshal revealed that some mobile courts have been established while pushing for a review of the FRSC Act for commiserating punishments to road offenders.
We are also working with the Federal Ministry of Works. Recently we had a meeting so that palliative can be offered along axis that we noticed that the roads have issues, potholes, bad sections, and so on and so forth. We do road audit regularly and we send the report to the Federal Ministry of Works.
FRSC Commercial charged motorists to drive with care to stay safe, reminding them that speed kills. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
The political, the political development in Rivers State has taken a new twist, with 27 lawmakers announcing their defection from PDP to the APC. The announcement of the defection was made known at Monday's plenary by the factional leader Martin Amewule. Kinsley Amajiri reports.
The Rivers State House of Assembly has been polarized into factions after the incident that led to the raising down of the chambers in October 2023. 27 of the lawmakers loyal to the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, led by the Speaker Martin Amewule, announced their defection to the APC. They cited alleged division in the PDP as reasons for their action.
The House has already before this time deliberated on all the issues in the PDP, and we feel there is sufficient division, and for that reason members have the choice to move to the All Progressive Congress as already indicated in these letters.
I commend the Assembly members who had thought through the issues, and I felt that it is also important that they also align with the party that is in the leadership of this country, the All Progressive Congress.
The House also considered a bill amending some sections of the Local Government Act in Rivers State. The leadership of the Rivers State House of Assembly, however, is a subject before the court following the emergence of a factional speaker, Edison Ehe, in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amaju, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu says he has, with immense grief, received the news of the passing of NTA's broadcaster, Aisha Bello Mustafa, who was one of the great icons of the Nigerian broadcast media. The president extends his deepest condolences to her family, friends, and colleagues, including the management and staff of the Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's largest television network, as well as the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria. The president joins them in paying solemn respect to the highly professional news anchor and presenter who spent 35 years at NTA until her retirement in 2022. During her time as the presenter of the flagship NTA Network News at 9, Nigerians and viewers around the world looked forward to seeing her smile, warmth, and wisdom, as she delivered news that can be trusted objectively. President Tinubu praised God to grant the soul of the departed eternal rest and comfort for those who mourn. May God grant her soul rest. We'll take a quick look at Tuesday's weather. We're done. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Ruth Aguele. My sign language interpreter is Hannah Olainka.